John, it's Port Adelaide again. You've exercised the demons from that game. How keen are you for revenge in this game?
Well, it's just about playing well this week. It's they were very good. They're a very good football team and have been for a long time, and they've been so consistent. They've been coached well. They're a great playing team, playing unit, and so they've always been hard to compete against. And they certainly played well against us last time. But this week's a new week. We're really looking forward to it. Great to be playing in a home prelim here at the SCG. So everyone's excited.
So if there's a couple of goals against you, certain there's no demons left in the system somewhere?
Oh, I think we concentrate on each day as it comes, and come the match day, we'll concentrate on each play as it comes, and very much living in the moment, looking at what we can control, and that's what we generally do. Generally over the years we've been okay at it. We didn't do it that well last time, but we feel like we're in a space to be able to do that and concentrate on the moment and live in that space, and that's what we're looking forward to do.
Obviously there's been a little bit of talk about that record against Port Adelaide. I think it's 2016 the last time the Swans have got a win over them. What is it about the team, the way Ken coaches them, that seems to they get a really good matchup against?
I just think it gets a bit lost a little bit in some of the conversation. They've been a really good footy team for a long, long time. They finished second on the ladder this year. For some reason that gets lost in some of the comments. They're a terrific footy team, and interesting enough, we've only played them once, I think, in the last 6 times here at the SCG. So for some reason we haven't played them very much at the SCG, and last time we played really well against them here. But it was, I always sort of look forward, and for this week, that's what really matters for us, and how we meet, how we train, how we do our weights, how we prepare, is really what we're putting our focus in, and that's what really matters, and it's really focused on the day by day.
John, you said in the last defeat that the team had lost its baseline. How did you get it back?
Oh, I think it's a combination of a few things. It always is. It's never one thing, and I always say that. It's always a combination of a few things. You probably get sick of me hearing it, but it is like that. I mean, we felt at that particular time we were just getting a little bit tired, I guess, at that point of the season. And we spoke about it before that game, to be able to go away and have a couple of days and freshen up. And the feedback we listened to after that game was we acted on. And sometimes you just got to do it. You just got to act on the feedback you get. And we did that, and were able to refocus. And we had a couple of tough games after that, really close ones, a couple of tough ones. Found different ways to win, and I commented after those games I was really pleased with the different ways we were able to find to win those games, and we've been able to come back and find some form through some just competing and finding different ways to win. And I think that's the thing we've been most pleased with is just finding different ways to get over the line.
John, obviously there was a 20k fine for Ken, which he copped. What was your making of that? Do you think it was a bit of an overreaction, or it's the emotion of the game?
Oh, look, I try and stay out of it as much as I can. The only thing I will say is coaches at the front and centre of a lot of things, and it's a pretty tough job, and Kenny's done a fantastic job with that football team, and I think I'll leave it at that.
Obviously, unfortunately, you won't have your captain this weekend with Cal's injury. How much of a blow is that, considering how hard he's worked to get back to where he was this year?
Yeah, it was disappointing. It was, he's as we know, a very important player for us, and had got back to some really good form too. And we'd obviously missed him for most of the season. We were able to cope with him for most of the season, and that was important to be able to do that. But we weren't able to he only did a light training session. It was a very light kick, and unfortunately hurt his hamstring, so it was disappointing. These things happen. We've moved on from that, and we've got to focus on this week, and that's what we're doing.
Do you have any more of a refined time frame over him, or I know the focus is clearly on this week, but how you might try and get through if you do make the grand final and get him back?
I'll leave that to the conditioning medical staff, and the medical staff are looking after him. So our focus has been on the players that we've got available for this week and what we need to do against Port. So that's where my attention's been.
Is it obvious who comes in for him in your mind? Is it Taylor Adams?
I'm not sure yet. Obviously we weren't sure until we realised who we're going to play. Now we've got that in front of us. We're talking through those things at the moment. We did a training session today and that was good. So we're sort of sitting down working that out now. Hopefully there's a couple of options there. Is it a like-for-like type? We know we can't replace his leadership ability. He's very good in that space, but we've got some options there that we're looking at the moment. Nothing's locked in.
John, Port Adelaide obviously against Hawthorn, really amazing performance. What were the things that you as a coach, maybe watching on the couch or watching going, geez, they were really doing that well?
Yeah, the pressure, enormous hit. I mean, you would have seen both games on the weekend were typical big finals games. It was red hot early on in the game and it stayed that way for the entire game. It was fierce. It was a fierce contest, and Port Adelaide were able to apply enormous pressure on the opposition. They were able to withstand the heat that Hawthorn were able to apply, and they were able to stand up in the moments, and to their great credit. So that's the thing that really stood out.
So you mentioned obviously pressure against the Giants. There's a pressure team who you stood up against. How much confidence does that give you? The way the team stood up against that onslaught, going into another high pressure team.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Giants were sort of around 2, I think, for their pressure for most of the game when we played them. We understand that's what it is at this time of the year. You're going to have to withstand that and give it back as well. So, that gives us some confidence. But we know we've still got to continue to do it. You've still got to come out and do it, and that's the challenge at this time of the year. No matter what's happened previously, you're looking forward. We've still got to go out and execute. And we've still got to withstand the heat, and then we've still got to deliver it as well to the opposition when they've got the ball, which is really an important part of the game.
I know that you said that you're only looking to this week in terms of Carl's injury time frame, but so he is still a chance to potentially get back if he hasn't ruled out his injury.
No, it hasn't been ruled out, but it hasn't been our focus just yet. It has been with our medical conditioning staff. They're doing all the work, but we're looking at obviously this week and the importance of that and the players that are playing this week.
And you've got those options there for who comes in this week, but how big is this decision for you guys and the coaching staff in terms of determining that?
Oh, it's just a decision you have to make. You have to make decisions every week. This week's not a bigger or lesser decision. It's just a decision you have to make, and you have to make those decisions all the time. We've been really pleased with our squad, our ability to be able to come out and execute, the depth and flexibility that we've got there. So we need to weigh up what the strengths and weaknesses of our team are, but also what Port Adelaide are going to give and make that call. But that'll be just one call. It won't be the defining moment, I guess, in the game. It'll be an important call, but it's more about how we go out and play and how we execute what we plan to do. That's the most important part.
Obviously, Justin.
I was going to say, John, given how last time you played Port, the guys have said they were a bit tired, and given how the game blew out, do you take much stock of that game now? Like, reviewing that, does it help you now, or was that game a bit of a way out of the box?
Well, it doesn't really help you. It's we weren't good enough, and Port Adelaide were terrific. That's where it's at. So you've got to give Port Adelaide a lot of credit. We saw firsthand they're a very good football team. So we give them an enormous amount of respect. We understand that they're a very good football team. They've got talent, they've got hardness, they've got passion. We understand what that is, and we expect to receive a bit of that and hopefully give a little bit this Friday night, which will be great here at the SCG in front of our home crowd.
You have much sympathy for the Giants over the weekend?
Oh, it's really tough, isn't it? Like, there's a couple of finals games on the weekend. You look at both games and it was red hot and went right down to the last minute of the game, and it just shows you this time of the year it's really tough, A, to get here, really hard to get to this position, and B, to be able to progress any further, it's even harder. And you've got the best teams playing with the most amount of pressure. It's red hot, but we always turn our focus back to what we can control, and it's very much in our preparation phase. It's our meetings, it's our training, and then when we get to the game, it's really contest by contest, and that's what we'll be looking at.
Dane Rampe is 250th this weekend as well. Obviously had a great performance against Toby Green last weekend, but has had a pretty sensational year. I mean, just how important is it to have a player of his sort of experience and calibre still playing at such a high elite level?
Yeah, it's one of the great stories. He went through 4 drafts. He got missed at four national drafts, Dane, and he was picked up in our rookie draft. And who knows whether he thought he was ever going to make it. It might have been his last chance. It probably was. If he got bypassed in that particular draft, he was probably done after missing 4. interesting, the sliding door moments. Alex Johnson went off, I think, at Blacktown with a knee injury, who played in our premiership the year before, and Dane Rampe came on for him, I think, in that Blacktown game, and has virtually been playing ever since. And he's a great example of just being ready. He was ready for 4 years didn't get drafted, and then he's been ready ever since. Ready at training, ready in meetings, ready to care for people, ready to compete, ready in games. And he's been a real pleasure to coach for a long period of time.
John we've spoken a lot about obviously the last game against Port Adelaide, which I know you're not focused on that loss now, and you don't want to lose a game, you don't want to lose it like that. But were there lessons in losing that game that you got out of it that you might not have if it was one kick in?
Oh, I think, once again, I've spoken about it a bit, but you always learn lessons. Out of that game, it was just we need to freshen our team up, and Port Adelaide are a really good footy team. So, it's pretty simple. And but then you've got to get to work and understand what you need to do from that moment, what you need to do as a coach to move different levers, but also the playing group, the ones that really got to work. And they had a couple of days off and reset, and then we were able to win a couple of really tight, tough games. I think that's a real credit to the playing group.
How do you reflect on the last 4, given there's no Melbourne-based teams? So Geelong's an hour out of Melbourne, but...
don't spend too much time reflecting on it, I guess. I just feel really fortunate to be playing at this time of the year. It's training today. The weather's great. You get out there and you look forward to playing this Friday night in a sold-out crowd at the SCG that'll be in full voice. How fortunate are we to be able to do that? But I also know that you've got to go out and execute. You've got to go and get the job done. You've got to go and concentrate on your process. You've got to really hone in on what you know you're good at. All of those things. You've got to respect the opposition. Those are the things that are in front of your mind. So great to be playing this time of the year, but also knowing that the challenge is ahead of us.
Just on Justin McInerney and Braden Campbell, how have they progressed having that extra week off? I know obviously Jussie was subbed out, and then you mentioned Braden was carrying a little bit of a groin issue ahead of the game. How are they looking for this week?
Yeah, good. I mean, Jussie's done some extra training, which has been really good for him, some specific training that he needed to do over the last couple of weeks, so he's come through that well, and Braden's trained well. So, he was a bit sore leading into that game. One of the reasons why we put him as sub was because of that, but he's been training well.
How hungry is your team, John, after the week off and watching all these close games, and can we expect the Isaac Keeneys of your team to stand up again?
You really need your good players all the time. We're not relying upon just our good players. You need a system, but good players help. And I'm sure that's what Kenny will be thinking this week as well. It'll be a bit about system and executing that, but it's also about your best players playing well. And if you have the majority of your players playing well, it gets down to a pretty simple game. It's a bit of a weight of numbers type scenario. So, we hope that most of our players play well this week. But it's not just about hope; it's about concentrating on our process. And if we put our energy into that and the small things, the bigger things tend to look after themselves.
John,
A couple more guys.
As a foreigner, I'd never seen a final series like this with the swings. How good is it for the coach, as a coach, just to see this excitement? Probably not great when you're in the coaching box, but
I was about to say that.
as an advert.
It's great. It's great for the supporters, and it's great for the people sitting at home on television, and it's great. I tell you what, it's not great for the stress levels, but of coaches across the competition. Everyone, not just us, but all the coaches. It's you understand that, but you do step back from it, and you realise that there's been some wonderful games of footy. If you haven't got a completely vested interest in it, and you're able to stand back and watch it, you'd be saying this is a great sport, and the game's in good shape, and hopefully this week's another good result.
Does it help having Dean writing the result next year? Coxie going nuts while you're a little bit calm and composed up in the box?
I think I gave a little fist pump out, so that's just... more when you've got the experience of being a senior coach, it's not done. So you've got to keep on working. You don't really understand it's done until the final siren goes. There's all the what ifs that go through your mind.
You've been doing this a long time, John. Are you a different coach in finals now than when you maybe first started and got to this area?
Not so much in finals. I think I've evolved, hopefully, as a person and as a coach, which you expect everyone to do, whether you're a staff member, a coach, whether you're a player. you learn over the journey. I've learned an enormous amount, not just about finals, but just about coaching, and you hopefully evolve as a person, as a coach. And what underpins all that are your beliefs, but also knowing that it's tough. You know, it's a tough job. It's tough for the team to compete every week. It probably gets underestimated how hard and how difficult that is in a draft and a salary cap type environment. But I'm really pleased that we're here at the pointy end. We're about to play another prelim final. We're about to play one on the SCG in front of our loving fans, and we can't wait.